Golden Bachelorette Joan Vassos spills on dream wedding. June 19, 2025. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Bachelor Nation news fans. ABC kicked off a senior version of the popular Bachelor dating show in 2023 with Jerry Turner as the lead. Joan Vassos was one of the contestants on the show, hoping to find a second chance at love, but she left the show due to a family emergency. The network gave her a third chance as the lead of the first ever Golden Bachelorette season. She fell in love with Chapple and got engaged during the season finale. The couple have yet to tie the knot. Joan Vassos recently spilled on her dream wedding. Keep reading for all the details and to find out their summer plans. Joan Vassos reveals she lost her job after Golden Bachelorette. Many of the Golden Bachelor and Golden Bachelorette stars were retirees looking for companionship in their senior years. While Chapple and Joan Vassos sought companionship, neither are retired just yet. Chapple runs an insurance agency in Wichita, Kansas. Joan Vassos worked in alumni relationships for a college in Maryland. However, she's since lost her job after The Bachelorette. The couple recently spoke to Swoon about their lives now. Chalk revealed that he works 40 hours a week, but is struggling with changes in the workforce since the COVID pandemic. "We do a lot of Zoom meetings, those type of things. I don't like it though. I like the face-to-face," he said about the changes. However, he said his place of business has a good team that allows him to get away to spend time with his fans. Joan and Chalk don't live together. He lives in Kansas and she lives in Maryland. She revealed that she leaned into being a social media influencer at the age of 62 because she lost her other job. She explained that her job was accommodating when she was doing press for the Golden Bachelor, but the demands of being the Golden Bachelorette lead were too much. "I worked in a school in alumni relations and development, so it was fine to be gone during the summer since it's a really slow time. But once September hit, we have a lot of functions and a lot of things to do, and that's when I would be leaving, so I kind of lost that job," she said. However, she feels lucky to work with brands for social media content. Her favorite thing about Chapple and Joan Vassos have only been engaged a short time. They're still getting to know each other. The outlet asked Joan her favorite thing about her fiancé. She said that her favorite thing is how he stepped into the role of her partner after her husband's death. Her first husband passed away in 2021. They were married for 32 years and share 4 children. "I love that Chalk is, like, a fixer. Any problem I have, I don't have to own it myself. That's part of what I miss when I was a couple before John passed away," Joan said. She added, "Chalk kind of went into that role so seamlessly and easily. It was just, like, in his nature to be a problem solver, and that just makes me feel comfortable in life a little bit." Joan Vassos spills on dream wedding. Chapple and Joan Vassos previously revealed that they are too busy to get married this summer. They have vacation plans with both of their families. According to Joan, she and Chalk, along with their kids and grandkids, will spend 2 weeks at a beach house in Maryland. They also plan to finally take the Disney vacation ABC gave them after their engagement. Their huge blended family vacation to the happiest place on earth is set for November. So, with all that going on, it doesn't seem like they will marry soon. But that doesn't stop Joan from daydreaming about her wedding. She told Swoon that she definitely doesn't plan to elope with Chalk because having her family at the wedding is the most important thing. Bachelor couple Katie Bigar and Zach Shawcross recently snuck off and had a small wedding. Joan Vassos also wants a small wedding. "I want to do something kind of small, mostly family, I'm thinking. I wouldn't hate to do a destination wedding," she said about her dream wedding. As of right now, Joan and Chalk haven't set a date. Do you think they'll get married eventually? Joan Vassos never thought she'd find love on reality TV. Not at her age, not after losing the love of her life. But life, as Joan often said with a coy smile, had a wicked sense of humor. America had already fallen in love with her during the Golden Bachelor. Joan was poised, compassionate, and disarmingly real. When she left Jerry Turner's season midway for personal reasons, fans were heartbroken. But that bittersweet exit only paved the way for her comeback as the very first Golden Bachelorette. And now, less than a year after handing out her final rose, Joan was doing something she hadn't done in over 30 years, planning a wedding. Not just any wedding. Her dream wedding. The one she picked. When Joan chose David Whitmore, the 61-year-old retired architect from Colorado, it felt right. He was steady, grounded, with a laugh that made everyone else join in. Joan often called him the surprise of her life. They'd had a rocky start on the show. David wasn't flashy. He wasn't overly romantic. But there was something about his quiet strength that lingered. "I didn't fall in love at first sight," Joan admitted in a new People magazine cover story. "But I did fall deeply, gradually, respectfully, and madly." The finale saw David get down on one knee during a beachside sunrise proposal that left Bachelor Nation bawling. Now, months later, Joan was ready to let fans in on the next chapter. The vision. "I don't want a ballroom," Joan confessed during her exclusive interview with Good Morning America. "I want a garden, something enchanted. I want it to feel like a storybook, with laughter and wildflowers, and everyone barefoot by the end of the night." Joan's wedding planner, Layla Vaughn, known in the celebrity world as the Wedding Whisperer, revealed the theme would be timeless romance meets golden glow. That meant soft yellows, champagne hues, vintage lace, garden roses, and strings of golden lights crisscrossing through 100-year-old oak trees. "We're doing it in Sonoma," Joan shared. "It's where David and I had our first real getaway after filming Wrapped. It rained the whole weekend. We just drank wine and laughed. It felt like a second youth." The dress, perhaps the most anticipated detail. The dress. Joan had been working with Reem Agra, the legendary bridal designer, but unlike traditional gowns, Joan wanted to redefine what bridal elegance could look like after 60. "There will be no corsets, no heavy beading, no trying to be 30 again," she smiled. The final design was a soft ivory A-line gown with sheer sleeves, subtle floral embroidery, and a long train made of gossamer tulle that shimmer in the light. "I cried when I tried it on," Joan revealed, "not because of how it looked, but because of how it made me feel, like myself, but glowing." The guest list. Bachelor Nation royalty was invited, of course. Caitlin Bristowe, Trista Sutter, Rachel Lindsay, and even Jerry Turner received invites. "Yes, I invited Jerry," Joan said with a laugh. "We have history. He wished me well, and he's bringing a +1. But the most special guests weren't reality stars. They were Joan's 4 children and her 3 grandkids, all of whom had given her their blessing on national television when David proposed. "My grandson asked if he could be the ring bearer. I said, only if you promise not to beat the rings," Joan chuckled. The Bachelor flashbacks. Planning a wedding under the microscope wasn't easy. The press speculated everything, from potential cold feet to family drama to whether Joan and David were doing it for the cameras. "There's always going to be noise," Joan told Entertainment Tonight. "But I'm 62, I know who I am. And I know that David loves me, not Joan from TV, but Joan who sings too loud in the car and forgets where she puts her keys." Still, old wounds resurfaced. One moment, while choosing their vows, Joan broke down. "I remembered my late husband. It was bittersweet. I loved him dearly, and I still do. But I realized that grief and love can exist together. I'm not replacing him. I'm honoring both chapters. Something old, something new. For her, something old. Joan would wear a locket with her late husband's photo tucked inside. Her something new? A bracelet David had custom-made, inscribed with a quote from their first date. "You're not what I expected. You're more." It was these small, deeply personal touches that made the wedding so much more than a TV fairy tale. Trouble in Paradise. Just days before the wedding, headlines exploded. Golden Bachelorette wedding delayed. David seen boarding flight solo amid wedding rumors. But the truth was far less dramatic. David had flown to Colorado to bring back his late mother's heirloom cufflinks, a tribute to the woman who raised him after his father passed. Everyone thinks drama equals truth, Joan sighed. But love, real love, is often the quietest story in the room. They issued a joint statement, ending speculation. No delays, no cold feet, just love, and maybe a little pre-wedding chaos, because that's life. The big day. On a breezy Saturday in June, surrounded by 90 guests, Joan Vassos walked down a moss-lined garden path. The string quartet played Can't Help Falling in Love. She carried a bouquet of gardenias and peonies, the flowers her mother used to grow. David's eyes welled with tears. He whispered something as she approached. What did he say? Reporters later asked. Joan only smiled. He said, I would have waited forever for you. The vows. Their vows weren't scripted. No teleprompters, no producers. Just two people, standing under a golden arch, promising each other the rest of their days. Joan's vows brought many to tears. I once thought my story had ended, but life handed me a pen and said, keep going. You are the plot twist I never saw coming, and now I never want the book to end. David's response. You remind me every day that life isn't about starting over. It's about starting again, together. Dancing into forever. Their first dance wasn't rehearsed. It was spontaneous, to The Way You Look Tonight. The moment was intimate, filled with laughter, a few missteps, and one perfectly timed kiss. Later, Joan danced with her son. David twirled his granddaughter. Candles flickered across long wooden tables. Guests dined under stars, sipped rosé, and toasted to a love that bloomed not in youth, but in wisdom. And when the DJ played Dancing Queen, Joan kicked off her heels and joined her bridesmaids on the dance floor, her daughters and her best friend from college. After the confetti. The next morning, Joan and David posted a photo from their honeymoon suite. No makeup, no filters, just smiles. The caption read, married, glowing, grateful. They were headed to Tuscany for their honeymoon, a 2-week escape in a villa surrounded by olive groves and red wine. We're not rushing anything, Joan wrote in her blog. We're savoring. And that's the word that followed them, savor. Not rush, not perform, just live. Together. A legacy of love. In the months that followed, Joan began speaking at women's events. She launched a podcast called Late Bloomers, where she interviewed women who found love, purpose, or peace later in life. She wasn't trying to build a brand, just a bridge. A bridge to remind women that age wasn't an end, it was a beginning. As for David, he opened an architecture studio that specialized in redesigning homes for older couples, wider halls, softer corners, more light. Because love changes how you live, he said. The last rose. When asked what her favorite moment from the entire journey was, Joan didn't hesitate. It wasn't the proposal, or the wedding, or the dress, she said. It was a moment no one saw. I was crying in the dressing room before the final, scared, unsure. David came in, held my hand, and said, you don't have to pick me. Just don't walk away from something real because it scares you. That was the moment. Not when she gave the last rose, but when she realized she deserved it too. Happily ever after, and still counting. It wasn't the typical bachelor wedding. It wasn't lavish for the sake of ratings. It wasn't drama-filled. It was golden. Just like Joan. And as the sun set behind those Sonoma trees and laughter echoed through the vines, one thing was clear. Love never expires. It just gets better with time.